Hello, AFB fans. We're so glad to have you here today for our conversation with composer Katahj Copely. We're very happy to feature a new work of his called Unspoken at our virtual concert coming up, Voices of Equality, on Saturday, March the 20th at 7 p.m. So welcome, Katahj. We're so glad to have you here.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
Katahj is working on a double major at University of West Georgia in music education and composition. Yes, so I guess you're pretty close to the end of your degree term, right?
I am. I am about a couple months before graduation, and it's been a long road, but it's been great. Loved every minute of it.
Oh, wow. And I guess it's been interesting here at the very end, this last year with, coronavirus and virtual like class settings and concerts and rehearsals.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. But it's all about adapting and the old saying, this too shall pass. We're all just trying to everyone's just trying to make it work. And that means getting rid of things or implementing new things that can hopefully stick and stay. Again, it's all about adapting. And if we can't adapt, then we cannot survive. And we're trying to survive right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, even though the pandemic has been on, you've been very prolific. You've been writing works and there's like new pieces coming out all the time from your pen and I guess not your pen, probably your computer. You've been staying really busy musically.
Yeah. That's kind of like my way of coping or my way of expressing myself. And throughout the pandemic, I was able to find new memories and new topics to talk about and to write about. And with that, it was just kind of, I wouldn't say that the pandemic was helpful, but in a way, it kind of gave me that boost to be a better composer and a better artist.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of your music, and like first of all, I want to do like a Katahj Copely concert because there's so many wonderful things to choose from. But it looks like you've had a lot of different inspirations for pieces. You've written several things where an element of nature is the theme, and then lately you've been pursuing some more abstract things, like with Limitless and Victory and even Unspoken. So I guess everyone evolves, and so I was wanting to ask how you find your inspirations and how those are evolving.
Inspiration comes from like just everyday things. They come from just whatever like affects me throughout, I guess, the world. And for me, composition is the art of storytelling. And there are so many stories out here and there, just everywhere. And it's our job as composers, as artists, to tell those stories in our way and how they affect us. And finding inspiration is kind of easy right now because there's a bunch of stories that I have yet to tell and I want to tell.
Oh yeah. So I guess when would you say you had the spark in your mind to say, I want to be a composer? Like, when do you think that started?
That started around high school.
Mhm.
You mentioned the spark. I didn't have a spark for anything my first 2 years of high school. Well, I did, but then that kind of withered away. And I was into a like dark place. My whole mindset was dark, and I felt like there was no, I guess, light at the end of the tunnel. And then my high school band director was like, "Hey, we're gonna do chamber music. Get together in groups." And I got together with my group, And from there, they asked me to do an arrangement, and I did an arrangement of Bohemian Rhapsody. And
Mm.
even though it wasn't my original piece, it was the first time I felt like I was able to express myself through music, being able to write and choose colors, who plays here, who doesn't play here. I found the true meaning behind music and colors. And from there, I knew that this was what I wanted to do.
I can see that. Because like I said, I've been listening to a lot of your music, and there's so many of them that I think could be paintings. You know, you mentioned colors. There are many of them. I'm listening to them, and I'm thinking of like, and especially because several are sort of inspired by nature. I'm thinking of the natural scene and you know, the lighting that would be there, and you know, as the piece is going on. So it's interesting. Your music is so very expressive.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
and one of them, so when you came to our rehearsal the other night, there was one piece that you'd mentioned um, where the sky has no stars. I think that was the name of it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I just found your description of that intriguing because in the pandemic, you know, because my background is in physics, and so I look at the stars every night. Even it just helps you set the season, you know, the rhythm of the year and the seasons, and so they've been a hopeful sign for me. And so when you mentioned that piece and listen to it, it's like, wow, that was just an amazing concept.
Thank you so much. The piece, um, I've always been fascinated by the sky, just the sky alone, and how it's just so freeing. It has so many different types of interpretations every time you look at it. It's never the same. You look up right now, there's a whole new painting up there. And I wanted to write a piece that dealt with the idea of hope and the struggles that a person has with either mental illness or depression, and just showing them that there is hope outside of that darkness, there's light. And in a place where the sky has no stars, there's always going to be that hope. Even at its darkest moments, we have to have that light.
And I found that really touching because I think that's a universal experience that everyone has shared in this. There have been moments when, you know, I know every day we're getting closer to the end, but we don't know how many days are left. And so it's hard to sustain that hope. And so I can see, like, when you have night after night with cloudy skies and no stars to look up to, that when they finally part and the stars appear, yeah, it can be, you know, an amazing experience to see them again and know that, you know, life is going on. And just the way you capture that in music, you know, like it just amazes me. It's really quite nice. I'm struggling with the right word to even say
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like, oh wow. As we there was a quote on your bio that I think uh, serves as a good introduction to talk about Unspoken. You say, composition is like me opening my heart and showing the world my drive, my passion, and my soul. And I can see all three of those elements in this piece. It is so expressive and so emotional. Even in our virtual rehearsal settings, you know, some of our members are having to, you know, wipe a tear away. I can only imagine what it would be like if we were actually all together in our regular rehearsal and then, you know, presenting it in a concert hall, which we want to do
Yeah,
the next time we can
most
get
def,
together.
most def.
But, you know, if bringing up this much emotion in this sort of limited interaction setting, I can just imagine how much it would bring to the ensemble and to the audience when we are in person. But anyway, I wanted to let you speak a little bit about Unspoken because it's such a powerful work that, you know, for the audience to
Yeah.
experience.
So Unspoken is kind of hard coming up with words for on this piece right now. I've been talking about it for a while, but dang. Unspoken.
The title is very appropriate then.
Yeah, this piece deals with my reactions, and as well, I hope that many have felt the same reactions towards the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many more that have died from police brutality. At first, I didn't know what to do, what to say, and how to express it. Because for me and many others around my age, this kind of violence has been around us for a very long time. Started with Travon Martin, and it's now up to George Floyd. And those many years of just being silent, or, hey, our voice didn't matter in this situation, those years just pent up. And finally, I was like, hey, I have a platform and I have a voice. Let me write this piece for younger bands, because younger students, people treat them like they don't have voices most of the time. And in the band world, it's changing now, where there are pieces that inhabit that kind of theme of, this is kind of dark, but it's time for people to know, like, this is what's happening. And with this piece, I wanted to introduce it to younger bands as a way of saying, hey, you can use your voice about these topics. You can use your voice about these subjects. You don't have to be silent. You don't have to hold your anger. You don't have to hold your sadness. Speak up. And to do that, I use the elements of the 5 stages of grief. And throughout the piece, there are themes of denial, depression, bargaining, and anger. But instead of acceptance at being the last stage, it is change. It is the idea of change and to move forward. Because if we accept these things to happen, then they just continue. The cycle continues. But if we change, if we promote change, if we promote speaking out, then that cycle will break. And that's kind of the main concept behind Unspoken, is the ability to finally speak out and be the voice of the voiceless.
And it's I'm really intrigued by like using grief as a way to access that discussion, because grief is something that we all experience. It's another universal emotion, and I think it's a great way of people who might not feel connected to those events can say, okay, well, I've experienced grief. There's someone that we've all lost, and that. So let's use that. Let's step into the other person's shoes with that, because we can know how that feels, and that way it gives a nice introduction for people to come in, and I'll use the word just genius of that, changing the last step to change is it's so powerful. And the music just opens up at that point. And like I said, if we were in the concert hall, I mean, we need to be passing out tissues and things to people, because it is just such a powerful thing. And it's such a powerful message too, because there's so many, there's so many things that just can't go on. And so I'm hoping, especially targeting this to younger band members is a good way to let them know that they can be a part of making this change happen. So yeah, like I said, we so enjoyed that piece. I noticed, so this is actually a pretty large scale work. I mean, you have the band, there's choral parts, there's a vocalist who has some very wonderful things to sing about as well. So I was wondering, like, I don't know what was the decision to kind of expand it even further. I guess there's the practical thing of let's get everyone in the school to sing this song. I mean, there's that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
uh, artistically, I think it's an amazing choice too.
Um, that actually didn't come from me. It came from the leaders of the consortium, Cameron Elliott and Dr. Beauvais. They wanted to expand it because I originally thought of mainly band, but I myself wasn't being inclusive with other people in the in schools, and I knew that I should add orchestra at some point in my repertoire, but I didn't know when. And this was the moment, like, this needs to be a collective piece. This needs to be a world piece of sharing of other worlds. And that's when I wrote in the string parts and the choral parts, not just for a soloist, but now add on to it, a whole choir can sing it. Um, I At the time I wasn't thinking of that, and then now looking back, I'm glad I did because now it means so much more. It's so much more inclusive. It's so different. Each performance can be different by itself, and that's what I love the most about writing. Sometimes, like, each performance is different by its, like, a little bit. There's some artistic expression here, but now you have people. People are unique in this situations.
Wow. It's I think it's kind of symbolic as well of the protests that happened this summer. You know, there were a lot more people involved than have ever been involved before, and I think that's a definite hopeful sign that change will happen. And so I think your piece reflects that as well. Wow. So yeah, so I know we could probably spend all day talking about it, but I know there's some limitations in Facebook and YouTube in terms of length. So, but I definitely appreciate you for the work that you've created and are sharing with us to perform on this concert. And I know we'll look forward to having more of your music on AFB programs in the future, and hopefully you can even come and conduct us sometime. That we would love to do that.
Yes, most definitely. Yes. Every time I've been having a session with you guys, it's always been like, I'm going to conduct. And yes, I am going to conduct. Will it be the best conducting ever? Absolutely not. I promise you, these hands are for composing, not conducting. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, we'd love to have you. We have our student composer program. Through our student composer program, we've gotten to know so many just wonderful artists, and we're so proud to have you in our, I guess, class of 2001. So we'll look forward to that, to the premiere of Unspoken. So AFB fans, be sure to check us out at our virtual concert. Again, that's coming up on Saturday, March the 20th. We'll stream it from our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And it's a free concert with donations accepted, and we hope everyone will come to our page, share the link, and let lots of people know about it. And so I'll let you have a final word if you'd like.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for also to the AFB. Thank you for trying to think of the best word to put. Thank you for breathing life into this piece. At first it was an idea, and now it's turned to a whole performance, and it's its own thing now. And I cannot be more grateful for that. And if you guys are watching and listening, please let me know how you feel about the piece. And yeah, it means so much to me. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot. And we'll look forward to hearing your great music on Saturday, March the 20th.